Hi, how are you all doing? It's great to be with you. I'm Jackie Morey, and this is the season finale of the 21st Century Legacy Letters show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so thrilled to be with you today because we have a lot to talk about, very important things to talk about. In fact, I've gotten several comments about what we're going to talk about today. The title of today's show is How to Relate how to love and relate to toxic family members, peers, colleagues, and bosses without getting poisoned or run over. Now, we are right now in the green room where I get to chat with you live, first of all. And then instead of doing the interview, I'm going to be presenting today because my featured guest had an emergency. But it doesn't matter because you know what? I have encountered, I'm sure you have too, toxic people in my life. In fact, I had a friend once who was toxic and I didn't even know it. So I'm going to present during this interview portion. And then here at the very end, stick around because I have more bonuses for you. I'm going to just load you up with bonuses today. And we get to talk about and converse about how to relate to toxic people, whether they're your family members or whether they're your colleagues or perhaps even your bosses, right? Even or maybe currently a boss. So please stay tuned and sit tight. In the meantime, I want to I want to start this season finale with a culture of gratitude, a heart posture of gratefulness. So if you don't mind typing in the chat room who you are, where you're hanging out from, and what you are grateful for. I am very grateful today because I've had a fantastic season. The guests that I've had on this show have been phenomenal. And I hope if you've been a regular live or replay audience or attendee, that you've gained a lot of value, massive value from the interviews that I've done with my featured guests from the start of the season till today. And I'm going to take a very short break. We're going to edit all these interviews and then we're going to launch them on a $1 billion platform and another platform which is a multi-million-dollar platform. All right, so please share a win. What is a win? It doesn't have to be a big win. It doesn't have to be I just finished a marathon. It doesn't have to be a big win. Share your small wins because the more that you can take note of your small wins, whether it is you pushed yourself away from the table before you ate that ate half of the chocolate cake. That's a win. For me, here is a win. Our son, he sometimes embellishes things, right? And yesterday he told us the full truth about his school day yesterday. So that to me is a win. He told us that he got, a mark on the board, which means that he didn't obey, right? He didn't obey his teacher. So he told us all about his day without feeling, that he had to hold anything back, right? So please share a win and what you're most grateful for. I'm grateful that our children, even though, as imperfect as we all are, that they are slowly but surely making steps, even small steps in the right direction. Steve says, started and begun to sell a course I've created this week. Hip hip hooray, Steve. Good for you. I am so proud of you, Steve. I was able to, I think, watch two of your replays. Amazing, amazing job. And also the book review that you posted, Steve, in the Facebook community. I loved that because you showed us some slides. So thank you for that, Steve. Dr. Becky is grateful for Gary and Gary is healing each day. Yes, yes. Totally. We are so grateful that you and Gary are healing every day. That's awesome. Steve says, way to create a shame resilient family, Jackie. Oh, thank you, Steve. As you know, my co-host for the virtual book club meetings that we've had is Steve Garvin. And we have tackled this book daring greatly, which I really, really hope that you get a copy of today or sometime really soon. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller, and it has really transformed my life. And I believe it has also transformed the lives of my co-hosts and those who have joined us through the virtual book club meetings. My co-hosts have been Dr. Becky Slaybaugh, Steve Garvin, and Tanisha Williams. And all four of us agreed that this book has changed the way that we relate to people, the way we look at other people, the way that we want to lead going forward. Look at the subtitle: Daring Greatly, How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. And it was so good that I was sharing with my husband some of the takeaways, and he wanted me to get his own copy. So his copy arrived 2 days ago, and he's already diving in. So really, really good book. Okay, Ron, you're hanging out from Lewisburg, Tennessee. You're grateful for the blessings God has given you. Ron, I am so glad that you are cultivating that heart posture of gratitude, and you're grateful for the blessings that God has given you. Awesome. And welcome, Ron, from Lewisburg, Tennessee. Awesome. Now, I want to share this episode. Really, I would love for you to share this episode. So Seth Godin says leadership is the art of giving people a platform to spread ideas that work. And I really believe that what we're going to talk about today is something that is vital and critical to a lot of people. So please share. At the bottom right of your screen, there are two icons, a Facebook icon and a Twitter icon. Please share this broadcast. And I'm going to give away this book. If you have a copy of this book already, then you still get one, because you might want to give it away as well. So I'm going to give away a copy of this book to the first 3 people that shares this broadcast. And this is only available for the live audience. So if you're watching the replay, forgive me, but this is available only for the live audience. So if you want another copy of this book, if you already have one, then please share on Facebook and or Twitter this episode by clicking on the bottom right of your screen, the Facebook icon and or the Twitter icon, and share this episode, because I really believe that we're going to be talking about something that, even if the folks that the friends that you have on Facebook don't have any toxic people in their life, they might also share this episode with friends that they know that have toxic people in their lives, right? Okay. Well, Carmen is grateful for daily strength and needed wisdom. Welcome, Carmen. It's so good to be with you. Mary, you're hanging out from Crystal River, and Mary is grateful for all that Mary has learned during the 21st Century Legacy Letters show. Awesome, Mary. And I know, Mary, that you already have a copy of this book, but please feel free to share this episode, because I want to send you another copy. So the first 3 that type in the chat room that you've shared this episode, I'm going to mail you, I'm going to send you a physical copy of this book. So please, share. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in right now, I'm running a live contest available only to the live audience. I want to put this in your hands, your own physical copy of this book, Life's Golden Ticket by Brendan Burchard. And so please, at the bottom right of your screen, there are 2 icons, the Facebook icon and the Twitter icon. Just click it. It'll open up in a small window, and share this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letter Show with your Facebook family and friends and or your Twitter followers. And I am going to mail a physical copy of this book to you. Okay, let's see the results here. Ron, you just shared it on Facebook. Awesome, Ron. Ron, if you don't mind emailing me or private messaging me, if you know how to do that on the chat room, private message me your physical address. That way I can mail you your physical copy of this book. Thank you so much for sharing. And Dr. Becky shared, and Dr. Becky says, I shared, but have both books that are gold. Well, Dr. Becky, if you want to give, I'm going to send you a copy of this book. And if you want to give it away as part of maybe a freemium you want to do for one of your meetings, your virtual meetings, I'm more than happy to send you a copy. So Dr. Becky, I'm going to send you another copy. So I'm Natasha. Welcome from Mount Shasta, California. It's so good to be with you, Natasha. Awesome. Ron says, I will PM you my address on Facebook. Awesome. I like that idea, Ron. So just PM me your address on Facebook, and I will mail you a physical copy of this book by Brendan Burchard. It's a New York Times best-selling book, and it's the title is Life's Golden Ticket, a story about second chances. I have 2 winners now, Ron and Dr. Becky. Dr. Becky says, thank you very much. You're most welcome, Dr. Becky. So, one more. Who else wants a copy of this book? I am more than happy to give you. I'm going to mail you a copy. I need one more person to share this broadcast. So just click on the Facebook icon at the bottom and or your Twitter icon at the bottom and just share it with your Facebook family and friends. Share this episode and I'm going to mail you your physical copy of this book by Brendan Burchard. Okay. All right. Now, Buffett, billionaire Warren Buffett says, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? Okay. Well, today, okay, Natasha, you'd love to have one. Natasha, all you need to do to have one is to share this episode. Just click on your Facebook. There's a Facebook icon at the bottom right of your screen. So just share this episode to your Facebook family and friends and PM me on Facebook and let me know. So if you've shared it, just type in the chat room shared, right? And then that way I know that you've shared this episode. So in the meantime, what are we going to talk about? Today, you are going to discover 3 strategies on how to relate to toxic family members, friends, and colleagues. You're also going to discover 3 strategies on how to relate to toxic bosses or managers or authority figures or coworkers. You're going to avoid 3 mistakes that most people make when relating to toxic people. And you're going to learn what setting healthy boundaries looks like. Okay. So whether it's going to be at family get togethers or one-on-one small group interactions or at work, you're going to learn what setting healthy boundaries looks like. So I'm very, very excited. Okay. Natasha says, I shared it on Facebook. Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. So private message me on Facebook. Let me know your physical address, your mailing address, and I will mail you your physical copy of this book by Brendan Burchard, #1 New York Times best-selling book. And it is Life's Golden Ticket. And at the back, there's an actual golden ticket, which there's a warning. Don't open it until you've actually read the entire book. All right. So thank you so much for sharing this episode, Ron, Dr. Becky, and Natasha. Mary, you shared it. Well, okay. I'm going to give one more bonus. Mary, you have a copy of this book, right? Well, I'm going to send one more copy. So that's the last. Okay. Thank you, Mary, for sharing this episode. I'm going to mail you a copy as well. I know you have one already, Mary, but you might want to give it to perhaps your husband, your daughter, one of your daughters, and maybe someone that you know that could benefit from it, right? Okay, I'm going to do a quick poll right now. Poll #1. All right. The question is, do you have family members or have worked with colleagues or an authority figure who are toxic? Do you have family members who are toxic, or have you worked with colleagues who are toxic, or have you worked for authority figures who are toxic? Yes or no? And it's just a yes or no. It's very simple. And this is an anonymous poll. And if if you're just joining us for the first time on this season finale of the 21st Century Legacy Letters show, Webinar Jam always has anonymous polls, and so I will not know who answered yes, and I will not know who answered no. Okay, I'm going to end the poll in 5 moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, folks, 100% of you have said, of those of you who participated in the poll, said yes. 100% said yes. You have family members or have worked with colleagues or have worked with an authority figure who is toxic. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you for your honesty. I really appreciate you. We're going to now run poll #2. Poll #2. All right. How have you related to toxic family members or colleagues or authority figures? Have you avoided them as much as possible and missed out on family reunions or company gatherings? Or have you had an argument with them? Or have you gossiped about them with others? Or have you set healthy boundaries and respectfully communicated these to the toxic persons? Or some or all of the above? Okay. So some or all of the above means it includes that you've also set healthy boundaries, that you've, gossiped about them, or you've argued with them, or you've avoided them as much as possible. And again, it's an anonymous poll. I will not know who answered what. Okay. So I'm going to end the poll in 5 moments. So please answer the poll. It's anonymous. I don't know who's answering. Seriously, I really don't. And I'm just very grateful for your honesty and your integrity. I'm going to end the poll in 5 moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, Folks, the results are 50% of you who answered this poll live said that 50% have set healthy boundaries and respectfully communicated these boundaries to the toxic person or persons. And 50% of you have answered some or all of the above. In other words, you've avoided some of them some of the time, or you've argued with some of them, or you've gossiped about them with others, and or you have set healthy boundaries. Thank you again for your honesty. I sure appreciate this audience today. I mean, I just really love it when you are very authentic. You're not ashamed. I don't. There's no shame here because I have had to, do these different things. I've had to set healthy boundaries, and when I did not know how to do that, well, sometimes I avoided them, and other times, what would I do? I would disagree with them and argue with them. So I didn't know, especially when I was a teen. I was just very naive, right? Anyway, that's why we're teaching our children how to set boundaries. All right. Well, I'm going to start the presentation. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please PM me for those of you who've won this book. Private message me. If I don't know your address, just let me know what your mailing address is, and I'll mail your physical copy of this book to you. Okay, and at the end, I'm going to give you some more bonuses, so please stay tuned until after the presentation, okay? I'm going to run my video, the intro video, and that way the videographer knows that there's a break in this interview. I'm not interview, but this presentation, and he or she, I might have different videographers, they're going to cut this part off where you and I are right now, the green room, and they're going to cut this part off where I give you the bonuses for this season finale, and we're just going to launch this presentation on the billion-dollar platform and the multi-million-dollar platform. Okay, so just bear with me for a few moments. I'm going to load the video, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. Hi, Joanne. It's good to be with you. Now, before I begin, I forgot to mention that if I hold this up, or when I hold this up, not if, when I hold this up just and smile like this, please don't be surprised because we're going to have a couple of cuts in the middle of the presentation so that we can put in some ads for some sponsors. Okay. All right. I'm going to count 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to start the presentation. And again, please hang out until the end because I have several cool bonuses for you at the end. All right. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Jackie Morey. I'm a multiple #1 international best-selling author, co-founder of Customer Strategy Academy, and your web TV host for this season finale of the 21st Century Legacy Letters show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's legacy word for the day is the word boundaries. I just love this word. I used to not really have boundaries. I didn't know what boundaries are, but now that I do, I practice setting boundaries. And so let's talk about this word today. What is the definition of boundaries? I looked it up on an online dictionary, and boundaries simply means, and I love these definitions, by the way, a line that marks the limits of an area. A second definition is a dividing line. That's the meaning of a boundary. And boundary could also mean a limit of a subject or sphere of activity. So that is the definition of boundary. And I like the word boundaries instead of just boundary. And that's why I put it down here on my whiteboard behind me. For those of you who are listening on the audio, you can't see my whiteboard, but those watching the video podcast, know that I have a whiteboard behind me, and the legacy word for the day is boundaries. Now, the reason why I like boundaries is because I like to have at least two boundaries, right? When I'm driving on a road, the middle line that divides my lane from the other lane is a boundary, even if it's just a striped or a dotted white line. It's not a bold straight line. Even if it's just dotted or stripes that are divided, that's good. That's a boundary. And then, of course, the maybe if I'm traveling on a mountain, if I'm going up some really high mountains or hills, I'm very glad that there are boundaries, especially when I was driving through, what was it, Colorado and Yellowstone National Park. I was so grateful for boundaries in the middle to divide my one lane from the other lane that was going the other direction, and then my right side where I had a boundary that prevented me from falling into a ditch. And it was really late at night. So anyway, I have a quote for you regarding boundaries. When you feel yourself becoming angry, resentful, or exhausted, pay attention to where you haven't set a healthy boundary. And this is a quote from Crystal Andrus. I love this quote. Now, I want to share with you something that I got from Sharon Martin Counseling, and it's found on a meme that Sharon Martin did. Sharon Martin is a licensed counselor, and in this meme, it just listed down the signs of healthy boundaries. So here they are. And again, this is from SharonMartinCounseling.com. Signs of healthy boundaries. Number one, saying no without guilt. My goodness, how important is that? A lot of folks have a problem with the word no. They have a problem saying no. Of course, you don't have to do it harshly. Just say no graciously, with respect, honoring the other person, and it's very easy to set a healthy boundary. If you don't want to go to a social because a social obligation or something like that, then you just have to say no in a very kind and respectful way. Let them know that you want to do something else, if that's the truth, right? Okay, another sign of a healthy boundary is asking for what you want or need. My children, they are they easily tell me what they want and what they need. Mommy, I want this. Mommy, I want that. Mommy, I need this. Mommy, I need that. And I find that adults sometimes have a little bit more, maybe we hesitate more as adults in saying what we want or what we need. When I need some quiet time from time away from my children, I definitely share with my husband, honey, I want some time away from the children, maybe a couple of hours. And he'll just say, oh, absolutely. Or I need some time. Maybe it's a need, right? If I really need some time, then I'll say, I need some time. Or I want to get together with a friend. And then I just say that. So when you set healthy boundaries, the sign of having a healthy boundary is asking for what you want or need. Another one is taking care of yourself. Very important. If you find that you are needing and wanting more sleep, or you need maybe to go on a relaxing time with a friend or something like that, make sure you're taking care of yourself, whatever it is. Maybe you have a family member who just is driving you, maybe that's not a good word, is just really not a good person to hang around. Well, you need to take care of yourself. Or if you're constantly pouring out and pouring out, especially those who are caring for parents who are in their golden years and they need a lot of help, it's really, really good to take care of yourself. What else? It's saying yes because you want to, not out of obligation or to please others. This is huge because many times we want to please others. There's nothing wrong with pleasing others per se, but when it goes into people pleasing, that's not really a good or healthy sign, right? So saying yes because you really want to. I want to go to the party. I want to go to this get together. I want to go to the baby shower. I want to go to this wedding, whatever it is. I want to uh, hang out with such and such person. So saying yes because you really want to. All right. Now, what's another sign of a healthy boundary? Okay, again, all of these are from Sharon Martin. Behaving according to your own values and beliefs. If somebody is starting to make you behave not according to your values or beliefs, that's a sign that they are overstepping the boundaries that you have, a healthy boundary that you've set for yourself. Okay. What's another one? Feeling safe to express difficult emotions and have disagreements. My husband and I, we don't always agree on everything. And so when we are both safe to express difficult emotions, then you know that you have healthy boundaries with each other. So are there people in your life where you're not safe to share how you feel? Well, maybe you might want to ask if you've set a healthy boundary with that relationship, with your relationship with that person. Okay. What else? Feeling supported to pursue your own goals. When somebody is caring for a parent, or you're a caregiver for somebody, do they support you in pursuing your own goals? Do you have somebody else care for them, such that it's not just you giving and giving and giving, but you have healthy boundaries such that you're free to pursue your own goals? Then that's a sign that you have healthy boundaries. Okay. What else? Well, being treated as an equal. Do you have a boss or a coworker that doesn't treat you as an equal? They see you as somebody that is lower than them, or they put you down. Well, if that's the case, then you must set a healthy boundary, because you want to make sure that you're being treated as an equal. All right, what else? Taking responsibility for your own happiness. I tell my kids, mommy and daddy cannot make you happy. We can make you happier, but it is your choice to be happy, right? So it's taking responsibility for your own happiness. I can't make my husband happy. I can make him happier. If you have a person in your life who is constantly always grumpy, always complaining, always negative, you know, it's not your responsibility to make them happy, right? So take responsibility for your own happiness. What else? Not feeling responsible for someone else's happiness. That is huge. I am not responsible for making my husband happy. I can make him happier. I can make my friends happier, but it's not my responsibility to make them happy. Very important. All right. A few more, two more. Again, these are all from Sharon Martin's meme. Being in tune with your own feelings. Are you in tune with your own feelings? Do you know when you're feeling resentful? Do you know when you're feeling angry? Do you know by the way, anger is not unhealthy if you don't get angry in an unhealthy way. It's okay to feel angry. If there's something that is evil if there's an evil that's going on, yeah, it's okay to feel angry about it. But of course, we know, well, I believe from my faith, I need to get angry if there's something I need to be angry for, but I must not sin, right? So being in tune with my feelings. Am I feeling angst towards somebody? Am I feeling envious about something, right? Or feeling jealous about somebody? Then I must realize that that's what's happening, and then be self-aware, and then process those feelings. So being in tune with your own feelings. What else? The last is knowing who you are, what you believe, and what you like. If you don't know what you like, if you don't know what you believe, if you don't know who you are, then you need to do that, because otherwise you will not be able to set healthy boundaries. Okay. Well, these are all from Sharon Martin, and I really appreciate the meme that I found from her. And I also visited her website, which is SharonMartinCounseling.com, and she has a lot of resources there. I want to end the legacy word for the day with a quote. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. And that's a quote from Tom Gaskins. That brings me to the end of the legacy word for the day, boundaries. And now let's dive into the presentation of this final episode, the season finale for season 1 of the 21st Century Legacy Letter Show. The title is How to Wholeheartedly Relate to Toxic Family Members, Peers, and Bosses. And it was kind of a long title, without getting poisoned or run over. Let's begin. All right. First, I want to share 3 mistakes when relating to toxic people. Here are the three top mistakes. These are not all of the mistakes, but these are the three that I've found. Number one, believing that you can change the toxic person. This is such a common mistake. I have done it. I have done it. I have a friend. I had a friend, sorry. I had a friend decades and decades and decades ago who was toxic, very controlling, manipulative, and I didn't realize it at the time because toxic people are sometimes very charming, very charismatic, very friendly, right? So you don't really know right away if they're toxic or not. But, when I found a little bit of some signs that she might not be a healthy friend, well, I believed that I could change her. There's a scripture that says, love never fails. And sometimes we take that out of context. Well, I love her. I love that friend. Maybe because I love her, my love will change her. This is something also that men experience where they will marry somebody, they'll marry somebody who they think they can change, or women marry men whom they believe, oh, I'm going to be able to change him once we're married. And that's the wrong reason to get married, to try to change that person, because that is a very, very big mistake. So please don't make that mistake of believing that you and I can change a toxic person. The person must realize that they need change. The person must come to their senses and realize that they need help. And until that happens, they will not want to change until it is something that they want to do. Okay, so you and I cannot change toxic people. Number two mistake, not setting healthy, wholehearted boundaries. Going back to my friend from decades and decades and decades ago, you know, um, there were some red flags, and one of my other friends said, "What doesn't that sound a little bit controlling to you, Jackie?" And I heard that, but I didn't take action, right? And I didn't set healthy boundaries. I didn't know a lot about boundaries. And first of all, it was something that was the matter with me, because if you and I don't have healthy boundaries, maybe we've gone through something traumatic. And that way, our boundaries are not in place. Healthy boundaries are not in place. So I had to go through some healing, some counseling, so that I could realize that, oh my goodness, this person is unhealthy. And my goodness, I need to set healthy boundaries. So I had to go through a healing process. I'm being very vulnerable and very authentic with you right now. So that's what happened, where I realized that, oh, I'm not going to be able to change her. And then I went through some healing, counseling. And then from there, I became wholehearted. I became a person who now knew what boundaries were and how to set healthy boundaries. Okay. So, number three, the third mistake, not getting help for yourself if you're codependent to a toxic person. Now, what does codependent mean? Well, it's just a whole nother subject. But just to summarize, codependent is that it's a person who gets some kind of benefit from being in relationship to a toxic person. So, if you are with a toxic person and you've experienced this toxic person, a relationship with them, and you still are not setting boundaries, well, a mistake would be not getting help for yourself, because you're thinking that you're gaining some small, very tiny, minute benefit, but overall that relationship is so unhealthy. Then please get help for yourself. That's what I had to do, right? Okay, so those are three mistakes that most people make when relating to toxic people. Now, I want to give you 17 red flags, because a question came in through when I set up this webcast. A question came in asking, well, what defines a toxic person? Well, here it is. I'm going to share with you how to determine whether a person is toxic or not. Now, make sure that when I share these red flags, it's not just a one-time deal. These are flags that are ongoing, continuous, right? The first red flag, okay, 17 red flags to alert you that you're in a relationship, or you're relating, or you're in the company or in the presence of a toxic person. The first red flag, number one, uses others to get ahead, to feel superior, and not give others an equal say. I like to term that kind of toxic person a bully. Even an adult can be a bully, right? And I don't know if you've worked for a bully or you've worked with a bully as a coworker, but they use others to get ahead. They feel superior and they don't give others an equal say. Now, I'm not talking again about something that's a one time, because sometimes, people might brag, but if it's something that's ongoing, it's just on and on and on every week, every time you get together with them. So that's the first red flag. Second red flag is a control freak and uses words or actions to subdue you or manipulate you. They want to control your life. They want to determine when you see this person or not. They want to determine who your friends are. They want to prevent you from going to this or that function. So that's a red flag. Be aware, okay? So an example of that is they'll also abuse you. A control freak may or may not, but sometimes they do. They verbally abuse you if you don't follow what they want you to do. They might emotionally abuse you, or they will also expose you to their mental or relational abuse. So those are red flags, right? A control freak may or may not do these things, but more than likely they will. All right, what else? Number 3 red flag. They constantly complain and criticize. I mean, there's nothing good about the world. They don't find something to be grateful for. And that's why I like to cultivate the attitude of gratitude or the heart posture of gratefulness, because I do not want to be a complaining person. And if I'm around a complaining person, oh my goodness, that just really rubs me wrong. So that's a red flag. If this person constantly criticizes others or constantly complains, well, you're in the presence of a toxic person. Number 4, drama queen. I hope I don't have to elaborate on what a drama queen is. They just make mountains out of molehills, or they find drama in every little thing, right? And they constantly call you to rescue them. They call you to help them. They call you to save them. That's a red flag. Number 5 red flag, angry and they have temper tantrums. I'm talking about adults, right? They're constantly angry or they have temper tantrums. They may not be angry, but they'll explode at just the slightest thing. That's a red flag. Number 6, jealous of people instead of collaborating their wins and who they are. So there are people who will attack other people because they're jealous of them, instead of maybe reaching out to that person that they're maybe envious of and collaborating with them, or just celebrating who they're jealous of, right? But they say bad things about that person, or they put down that other person, not in front of that other person, but maybe in front of other people, and say bad things about them, right? Number 7, manipulative. A toxic person can be manipulative. If you have been manipulated and you feel like they're asking you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with, or they take advantage of your kindness and they constantly do that, that's a toxic person. Number 8, they make choices that are consistently unhealthy. You know, maybe sometimes people, if you've been in the presence of maybe an alcoholic or a drug addict or somebody who is in some kind of addiction, maybe gambling, they make choices that are consistently unhealthy. That's a toxic person and they need help. Number 9, their self-sabotage emotionally affects and hurts or disappoints family and friends. I know someone whose family, her children are wonderful, but she is a toxic parent. And the decisions that she makes are just consistently, she self-sabotages herself in a way that's there's one kind of self-sabotage that doesn't affect a lot of people, but the self-sabotage that this particular person makes, the choices that she makes, really drastically affects her family and her friends. And it's really, really sad to watch. So that's a red flag. Number 10, defensive, prideful, not open to advice or feedback, know it all. Now, again, this is not a one time deal. This is someone who is consistently defensive, consistently prideful, not open to advice, not open to feedback, right? This person is a know it all. That's a red flag. Number 11, goodness gracious, religious, self-righteous, unwilling to change. I call that kind of person a Pharisee. They seem like they're religious. They even, might quote scripture, and they seem like they know a lot of scripture, and they'll use it against other people. They are self-righteous. Whatever they do is right, and whatever some people do is completely wrong, even if it's not really. They're unwilling to change. Okay, that's a red flag. 12th red flag, believe they are perfect. They don't admit weaknesses or mistakes or faults. Oh my goodness. I do not want you to miss that, because if you're in the presence of this kind of toxic person, that's somebody who might verbally abuse you or emotionally abuse you, because they don't want to, they're perfect. So whatever you do is wrong. They'll criticize your cooking, they'll criticize your house, they'll criticize whatever it is. But they don't admit to their weaknesses, right? That's a red flag. Number 13, they blame others, they don't take responsibility, and they're in denial about their own mistakes, right? So they blame others. I That person did this, and they never take responsibility, right? So number 14, they're unreliable. They lie, they cover up, they deceive, and defend themselves. This is typical of alcoholics, drug addicts. They're unreliable. They'll lie, they'll cover things up, right? So that's a toxic person. That's a red flag, big red flag. Number 15, bitter. A toxic person can be bitter. They hang on to past hurts instead of seeking healing, restoration, or deliverance. And they are very unforgiving. They'll hang on to past hurts for years and years and years, and they'll never seek to get over it. They'll never seek healing. And if they're bitter, that bitterness grows. Bitterness is a cancer. If it grows through the months, the weeks, the years, my goodness, that kind of person is really toxic to be around. So, red flag. 16, inconsistent and unreliable and unstable. You can't count on them. Again, this is not a one-time thing where, okay, they missed a meeting, or they were late for 30 minutes. If it's just a one-time thing, that's not a red flag. But if they're consistently like that, they're consistently unreliable, consistently unstable, consistently inconsistent, that's a red flag. And the last red flag that I want to share today is they have a negative influence on you, not a positive one. When you come away from being in their presence, you feel like, you feel that there's just a lot of trash that was put on you, whether it's emotional trash, verbal trash, whatever it is. They have a negative influence on you. That's a red flag. All right. I want to share an ancient proverb, and this is something that has to do with what we're talking about today. It's found in Proverbs 26, verse 4 and 5. That is, do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. And then the very next verse says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. So, what is it then? Do we not answer a fool, or do we answer a fool? Well, let's talk about this, because both are true. Okay. So, let's talk about 3 strategies on how to relate to toxic bosses, managers, or authority figures, or maybe even coworkers. So the first strategy is an anti-bully strategy. What can you do with a bully? Somebody who just bullies him or himself or herself around the office. Well, you could play along. That's a strategy, and respond with a salute, saying yes sir, or if it's a lady, yes ma'am. You kind of play along, and that way it kind of takes them by surprise, and you break their pattern, you interrupt their pattern of bullying, right? And they'll find that, okay, let's see what it'll just break their pattern. And then if they say, that's not funny, stop that humor, that's not funny, then you can respond with this: oh, I'm sorry if you got that impression. Would you like me to apologize in front of the rest of the office? And say this in a very, very truthful and authentic manner. Apologize. If you really, offended them by the humor, just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. If you got that impression that would you like me to apologize in front of everybody?" Right? And that strategy really helps. It prevents it's harder, you become like a moving target, and it's harder for a bully to hit a moving target. It's harder, if the bully cannot predict what your next move is, more than likely they are going to leave you alone. So that's another strategy. Another strategy is when you are in the presence of a constant complainer. What could you do? Well, you could say, wow, if they're complaining about their work, wow, you really sound unhappy here. I think you should strongly consider looking for a different job, right? If they're always complaining about how much work they have to do, how how awful this manager is, or whatever it is that has to do with work, you could use this. Wow, you sound really unhappy here. I think you should strongly consider looking for a different job. Okay. Now, if it is your boss that's a constant complainer, maybe you might consider looking for another job, right? And then if it's the third one is if it's a constant complainer who's complaining about things that are outside of work. They're complaining about their mother-in-law, they're complaining about their wife, they're complaining about their husband, they're complaining about their kid, they're no, on and on, complaining. Here's what you could do. You could say, I'm sorry, I make it a point not to get involved in the personal lives of people I work with. Nothing personal. So you set that healthy boundary and say that to them. I'm sorry. I make it a point not to get involved in the personal lives of people I work with. It's nothing personal. I do it with everybody else as well, right? All right. The third strategy for how to relate to toxic bosses or managers or coworkers. This is when you are in the presence of a drama queen. If you have a drama queen for a toxic person in your workplace, here's what you could do. You let that person know that you have to get back to your work. You say, excuse me, I really need to get back to my work, right? That's one strategy. Another one for the drama queen is you help them snap out of the drama. You could say this: look, we're all overworked. What makes you think you're better than everyone else, right? You snap them out of their drama. Look, we're all overworked, or whatever it is that the drama queen is working up a drama about. You can just say, look, we're all whatever it is, and then just let them know that what makes you so special, right? Or you don't have to say it like that. Say it like, what makes you think you're better than everyone else. So that's the three strategies on how to relate to toxic people at your workplace. Now let's talk about, wait a minute, just a moment. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. All right, welcome back. Now let's dive in to three strategies on how to relate to toxic family members or friends. Now, I included friends because they're not at work, they're not work friends, they're not coworkers, and you don't, your job is not in danger if you relate to this friend or this family member, right? So, three strategies on how to relate to toxic family members or friends. Number one, limit your time around them. You don't have to get together with them at every weekend. You don't have to feel obligated to get together with them whenever there's a family gathering, right? Limit your time with them. Or if you need to, or if you want to go to that gathering because there are family members there that you want to connect with, then limit your time during that social event, during that family gathering. Limit your time with that toxic person. Now, if it's a small family gathering, here's what you could do. Affirm them. Tell them you care about them and respectfully state your boundaries. Share with them. If it's a parent, just let them know, Mom, I really love you. I really care about you, but I want you to know that, and then just state your boundary. I don't want to talk about this. It's something that I don't really feel that we should talk about. I don't believe in this, or whatever it is. State your boundary respectfully with honor, right? So affirm them. Make sure you tell them you love them, you care about them, and then tell them and communicate your boundaries. Number three, don't go it alone. Seek the help of your siblings if you have siblings in that gathering, or other relatives or friends. If you're in a gathering with friends and there's a toxic friend, I mean, I hope that that's not your friend anymore, but if they're related or they're an acquaintance and they're there in that particular social gathering, well, ask the help of somebody else. If you have a friend, just let them know, okay, if this acquaintance says this or acts up or does this or does that, here's what I need your help with. Then just make sure that you have a plan, and make sure that you follow through with your plan. All right. Now, a bonus strategy on how to relate to toxic family members or friends. You know what? you may need to cut off contact for a while. I don't know how long a while is. It could be for a long, long, long time. It could be for a very permanently. I don't know. Like the friend that I was talking about a while ago who was toxic. I have not ever contacted that friend ever again after I set a boundary and we mutually agreed that we were not going to contact each other, and I've not. Right? So I have permanently not communicated or contacted that toxic person, right? Okay. Well, I want to uh, end this particular episode with this quote. Boundaries define us. They define what is me and what is not me. A boundary shows me where I end and someone else begins, leading me to a sense of ownership, knowing what I am to own and take responsibility for gives me freedom and take oh it's excuse me, let me just restate this. Boundaries define us. They define what is me and what is not me. A boundary shows me where I end and someone else begins, leading me to a sense of ownership, knowing what I am to own and take responsibility for, gives me freedom. And this is a quote by Henry Cloud, and he is the co-author of a book that I'm going to be recommending to you. So thank you very much for being with me on this season finale of the 21st Century Legacy Letters Show. And I want to encourage you, live a life of significance and leave your legendary legacy. Awesome. Now I want to give you, for those of you who are still with me, I want to give you your cool bonuses. So right now I'm going to pop in the bonuses. Now this is a bonus that I want to give to you today. It's my book, Customer Loyalty 101. And in this book, I talk about honor and I talk about respect. And it's part of how you can, so I'm going to just show this. Okay, there we go. I want to give that to you. And I have other bonuses. So please, please, please download that now. It's right now in the bonus tab there. And just click the orange button that says, yes, I want my copy. And it's free to download. If you have you don't have to have a Kindle reader, by the way, to get this book. Kindle is a software app that's available through Amazon, and you can download it for your laptop. You can download it for your desktop. You can download it for your mobile device. You can download it for your phone. Kindle apps are free, and you can download the Kindle app through Amazon and get this book and read it. And it's yours for free. I want to give that to you. That's one of my books. And I want to open this up for questions. I want to see, did you enjoy the presentation today? I want to just get your feedback. Also, I want to read some of the challenges that folks have been experiencing. Okay. One of the challenges is not taking their disruptive behavior to heart. Yes, true. That's a challenge, to not take the disruptive behavior of this toxic person to heart. So I just pray that you will be able to when counselors hear all um, the different things that have gone on in their clients' lives, they have to debrief. They have to, I would say, like, wash themselves off. They have to really debrief with somebody else, and that way it's not going to remain with them, because it's so easy to get caught up in all the clients' stuff, right? So anyway, I just want to encourage you, if you have a toxic family member and you're having a challenge not taking their disruptive behavior to heart, make sure that you talk one-on-one, converse with a trusted friend. And this is not gossiping, because this is about caring for yourself. Pray with your friend, or if you're married, run it by your spouse, share with your spouse. You just say that I'm feeling, angst. I'm feeling really, really down because this, I spent time with such and such toxic person, family member, blah, blah, blah. Right. So anyway, okay. Now I'm going to pop in the next bonus. All right. The next bonus. All right. Let's take this one out. Here is the second bonus. This is um, a copy of my other book that my husband and I wrote, and it's your 21st Century Business Card. It's free right now on Kindle. So click the orange button, get my free copy. I want to read your comments. Ron says, enjoyed all that you shared. I usually try to make a negative into a positive. Yes, good job, Ron. If somebody is being very negative, do your best to, and I'm glad that you're doing it. Folks, do your best to be like Ron, who does his best to make a negative into a positive. Carmen says, I have it already. Thanks. Okay, good. I'm glad that you have a copy of my book already, Carmen. And Steve says, thank you for this, Jackie. Great topic. Thank you, Steve. I'm so glad to be with you. Dr. Becky says, I have both of these books, which I highly recommend. Thank you, Dr. Becky. I really, really appreciate you, my dear, dear Dr. Becky. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few more moments to download your copy because I have other things that I want to recommend to you. And by the way, if you want to be with me inside this webcast room, please raise your hand. There is a place where you can just click invite to be a speaker. And then if you want to be with me, then we can just end this episode, live. And let's see if we could end this episode with you being with me live inside this webcast room. Mary says, Jackie, thanks for defining the toxic person. You're most welcome, Mary. Okay, I'm going to end this this bonus, and I want to recommend some books to you, okay? This book is a very good book. Let's see here. I want to recommend this book to you. Now, this book is not free, but if you know how you and I go through 12 years of high school, and then some of us have 4 years of college, some even have graduate degrees. But how much time have we invested in learning more about relationships, more about setting healthy boundaries? So this book, I recommend, even though it's not free, I want you to get this book. And if you already know how to set healthy boundaries, get this book for somebody else who has, a toxic person in their life. So Boundaries, When to Say Yes and How to Say No. This is a book by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And Henry Cloud is the one whom I quoted, who said this, right? And so please, please, please get that book. And I want you to have that copy of that book, either to give away or to read and then give away, or whatever you want to do with it. And then I'm going to also recommend another book that I really believe is for those who have maybe been with alcoholic parents, or maybe know somebody whose parents are alcoholic, or who have relatives who are alcoholic. Natasha says, thanks, Jackie. The first offer did not have a link in the chat area. Oh, okay. The first offer did not have a link. Oh, when you click the button, Natasha, it opens up in a different tab, and then it will so you'll just click on the button. So Natasha, I'll just reach out to you later when you give me your address, and I'll give you the link to the first offer. Okay, Ron says, I have read Boundaries, and it is full of good information, right, on how to deal with much that you talked about. Exactly. That was the book that I used after I went through counseling. And while I was counseling and I was going through counseling, I read that book, and it really opened my eyes on how to set healthy boundaries. So it is really a good book. Steve says, funny, I was just thinking about how we are not educated on these important topics. I have 18 years of school under my belt. Totally agree, Steve. So, so true. Joanne says, I have taught Boundaries. It is an excellent resource. Exactly. Dr. Becky says, Boundaries is an awesome book. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to take out this book now, and I have this other recommendation. I have two more. This book is what I recommend for those of you who have friends or who know people whose parents were either alcoholic or drug addicts, or who were verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, or physically abusive. You can get this book for them. Did your parents tell you you were bad or worthless? Right? This is the title of the book is Toxic Parents: Overcoming Their Hurtful Legacy and Reclaiming Your Life. If you want to help your friends who have toxic parents to leave a legacy and stop that bad legacy, this is a really good book. It's a #1 New York Times best-selling book, Toxic Parents: Overcoming Their Hurtful Legacy and Reclaiming Your Life, by Dr. Susan Forward with Craig Buck. So it says here, free yourself from the frustrating patterns of your relationship with your parents. Get this book, if not for yourself, for friends who have had alcoholic parents or drug addict parents, or colleagues or acquaintances, right? And you can just click on the orange button that says I want freedom. Maybe not for yourself, but for your friends that need this book. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, let's see here. Dr. Becky says, yes, Toxic Parents is very healing. Another excellent recommendation. Thank you, Dr. Becky. Okay, Natasha, thank you for your private message. I'm going to copy your message right here. I'm going to paste it on my notes right here. And I have your address now. All right. And Natasha's asking, did you get the message I sent about? Oh, excellent. All right. And Natasha has a web page on dealing with difficult people. Awesome. Great. Thank you, Natasha. I really appreciate you. Maybe I'm going to reach out to you and maybe I'll interview you sometime soon. All right. Okay. Now, one more. Please click on the orange button. I'm going to give you 5 more moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to take that out. And there's one more. Now, this last one, I don't know how good of a book this is, but, here's what I recommend. If you want to get it, get it. It's Letters to Ego, How to Find Peace in the Midst of Toxic People. Here's what I recommend. Whenever I read a book, if there's something that doesn't coincide with my values and my beliefs, I just I don't take that to heart. But in any book or every book that I recommend or I read, I'm going to find the value in it. I'm going to find the truth in it. And then just, how would I say, how when you eat fish, sometimes there's a bone. So you just swallow the fish and then just take the bone out. Just take it out. Okay. So when you read a book like this, Letters to Ego, I have not read this book, find the truth in it that is going to be helpful. And then whatever doesn't coincide or resonate with your core values, just take it out. Don't mind it. Right. So just check it out, because this book is totally how to find peace in the midst of toxic people. That's the title, Letters to Ego by Shayla Williams, PhD. All right. Okay. Well, by the way, this book, again, is another good book. Very, very good book that we have gone through the virtual book club. And I know that Dr. Becky and Steve and Tanisha have really been helped and changed and hopefully, like I have, transformed by the book. Oh, one more thing. This one. I'm gonna pop in this one. I'm gonna take out the Letters to Ego, and I'm gonna put this one. Handling difficult people. This is strategies on how to deal with difficult people at work and in your personal life. And this is where I got much of the material that I shared with you today about, how do you handle a bully at work? How do you handle a drama queen at work? How do you handle a constant complainer? And this book also has the snooty snob. It also has the temper tantrum type. Okay. It also has the brick wall. It also has the procrastinator. So this is a book that I own, Jim and I own. And some of the things that I've talked about today, I got it from this book. So Master the Art of Dealing with Difficult People. All right. Well, I want to respect your time. If you have any questions, please type that in, and that way we can all have a conversation. Connie says, great resources, Jackie, and a great topic. Connie, I appreciate you. You're so kind. You know why I like this topic? Because I have experience. I have experience in this topic. I'm not just talking from theory or maybe a graduate degree that I've gotten, but I actually have experienced toxic people. I have had, like I mentioned, that friend, and then a relative, and but that relative is no longer, right. That relative died, so years and years and years ago. And then Steve says, ditto to Connie. Aw. Connie says, write what you know. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Connie. And Connie says, yes, totally. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, please, 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 I want you to like my, let's see here. I want you to like my, I'm going to take out the handling difficult people, and I'm going to invite you to join the 21st Century Legacy Letters Facebook community, because that's where I will announce when we'll do season 2, when we're going to start season 2. Because what I'm going to do with season 1 is I'm going to take out all of the interviews and, edit out the green room, edit out the Q&A, and just put the interviews with my featured guests, and then pop in, a couple of sponsors, and then launch it. Right. So then when I'm done with that, I look forward to season number 2. And by the way, if you know anybody that can be my featured guest on this show, please reach out to me either by private message or my email. Actually, just private message me. Once you're inside the Facebook group, you can private message me. So please do that. Connie says it's sometimes a rough road to expertise. Yes, yes, it is. And the cool thing is that even though there are toxic people out there, we don't have to change them. We can set healthy boundaries. And you know what? When we set healthy boundaries, hopefully, the toxic people will say, "Oh, you know, I'm going to, it might jolt them into saying, I need to change." And if you're faith based, we can pray for these toxic people, and hopefully they'll have an aha moment that, why am I so toxic? Maybe they don't even know they're toxic. Why am I like this? Why is there a pattern? Maybe they need to seek help to get healing from probably a past trauma, or perhaps, something bad that happened to them, or maybe they had toxic people in their life, maybe toxic relatives, toxic parents. And then Steve says, experience is the best teacher. Isn't that the truth? Carmen says, wonderful insights. Well, thank you so much. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me today on the season finale of the 21st Century Legacy Letters Show. And I am going to mail those who shared this episode at the very beginning. And those are Dr. Becky, Natasha, Mary, and who else was there? I forgot who the last one was. Ron, by the way, Ron, please private message me, Ron. I don't want to miss out on sending you your physical copy of this book. I want to mail it to your correct mailing address. So Ron, thank you very much for sharing this episode. And folks, I appreciate you. And thank you, Dr. Becky. Dr. Becky says, looking forward to season 2. God bless you. Signing off until next time. Yes. Thank you. I look forward to being with you in season number 2. And again, live a life of significance and leave your legendary legacy. Thank you so much, folks. Take care. Goodbye.